Hello, in this video we're going to learn a little bit of object-oriented programming. So, object-oriented programming. The idea is that so far we've learned to draw things inside the draw function. What we'll do now is we'll create a new function where we'll put all the properties of everything we want to draw, everything, the way it moves, into another function. And we'll call that function class. So this is how we start the programming. You say class and give a name of the class. Let's call it Walker. Walker. You don't need to put open and close brackets. You can just do open and close curly brackets like that. Now the first thing you do inside the class will be called the constructor. So you say constructor, and for this one you open and close brackets, and at the end of it okay, at the end of it maybe you put open and close curly brackets like that. Maybe every time there's something it doesn't look good, you go up here and you say tidy the code. Automatically you get the code tidied up. Now inside the constructor, the main thing you define is the positions or the variables that you want to use for your objects or the shapes that you're going to make. Now if you remember in the earlier videos, when we defined a vector, we did v1.x equals something and v1.y equals something. The new thing for this one is whenever you're making a class, you will have to use the keyword this instead of a v1, v2, something like that. You'll have to say this dot x equals something. Let's call it 150, and this dot y equals 150. So this is just like what we did with dot syntax. The only difference is inside the class you'll have to use this and this. And this is how you'll define the variables inside the constructor. Below the constructor, you will make properties of the shape. So for example, what do you want the shape to do? So when we made the random walker, the shape was moving all around the place. So let's call this one walk. So how do you want the shape to walk? Okay, something like this. Go up here and tidy the code. This is like the function that we learned in week 5 and week 6. But over there we wrote function walk. But in this case, you don't need to write down function. Automatically, if it's inside the class, it will understand that this is a function. Now, in the previous video, we made random walker. We do the same thing here. So we say this dot x plus equals random. And in the earlier video, we said -1, 1. In here, you say -5, 5. The bigger number you put, the faster the shape will move. And similarly, you say this dot y plus equals random -5 to 5. So we're doing the same thing as before. The only difference is instead of v1, we're doing this. So just once again, if you're defining things inside a class, use the keyword this. You don't need a vector or anything. We need the keyword this. Okay, so this is how your walker will walk. And then below it, say what kind of a shape do you want? So do you want an ellipse? Do you want a point? What do you want? Define another function, call it shape. Okay, go up here, just tidy the code, or you can just do it at the end, tidy the whole code. And then you say what the shape you want. So if you remember, we started always the shape with a stroke. Let's do 255. Then we did fill. 200, 0, 100, something like that. And then you say what shape do you want. So you can say ellipse, or you can decide a shape. And if you remember, we did v1.x, v1.y. The only difference here is we do this dot x, this dot y. So if you're working inside a class, you will have to use the keyword this. That's the only difference here. Everything else is kind of the same. Now let's do 2020, a small ellipse. So this right here becomes your class. It has all the properties of your walker. So you say start at this position. The constructor will start at this position. Then what should the walker do? You should move randomly -5 to 5. And this is the shape you want. So this becomes your class for the walker. The only other thing here is we have to define, let's say W, a variable that which will help us to use this class in draw. So define W here, and inside setup, say W equals new and the name of the class. This is the important bit. Once you make the class, you have to do this step of making W or whatever alphabet you want to call. This is called the instance of the class. And with the help of this W, we'll be able to make this class in draw. Okay, so now what you do is once you define W as new walker inside draw, all you have to say is W dot and the function that you defined in the class. So you say W dot move. Oh, we don't have move, we have walk. And and say W dot shape. So what this W does is it will go to this class walker and it will look for the function walk and it will look for the function shape. And then it will help us draw it over here. Now if I run this, hopefully I should get a random walker here with the help of the class. So let's see. So look at that. This is your random walker. That is an ellipse with the help of the class. Now the other good thing about this is once you define the class, you can have multiple ellipses in your output. So for example, if I say W1 equals new walker, also if I say W2 equals new walker, now you're creating two instances of the class, and then all you have to do is W1.walk, W2.walk, W1.shape, and then W2.walk and W2.shape. What this will do is this will automatically create two ellipses for you, even without typing the whole thing. So all you had to do was give the properties of the walker in the class walker, and then you can do as many as you want ellipses in your canvas. If you want to do a lot of shapes, it's better to use arrays, which we may see later. But this is the idea. If I run this now, hopefully I should be able to see two ellipses randomly walking on your canvas. So look at that. Right, pretty cool. Look at that. Just by creating one class, you were able to create 2 ellipses randomly walking in your canvas. Now, if you remember, to make a walk, a random walk, the background needs to be in setup. So just make a note, if you want to make a random walk, the background has to be inside your setup. And if you make it 0, let's make the canvas a little bit bigger as well. Now if I run this, it will leave a trace as it walks along the canvas, hopefully. Let's see. So if I run this, so look at that. It's randomly walking on the canvas and leaving its shape. The color is purple because the fill that we use at the bottom here has 100 and 100 here. Now, if you want to make that change colors as well, what you can do is, instead of 100 and 100, you can say this dot x, this dot y, something like that. And maybe to make it start in the middle of the screen or the canvas, you can make this width divided by 2 and height divided by 2. Okay, so let's see what happens now if I run this. Do that. It's starting in the middle, but it's tracing. Look at that. It's walking along the path. It's creating its own color. So pretty cool if you think about it. Look at that. As it's going on the top, the color is becoming a bit red because the value of the x is changing and the value of the y is changing here. So this can be considered like a colored random walk. If you just leave this for like 10-15 minutes, it'll create an amazing abstract art. Okay, so this is the idea of the class and a little bit of object-oriented programming. This property of putting the properties in a class is called encapsulating. It's one of the main things for object-oriented programming, but our aim is to create a physics engine. So now what we'll do is, with the help of this class, the thing that you've learned here, we'll try to make a physics engine, hopefully in the next video. So any questions, you can put it down below, and watch this video carefully and take notes so you understand what's going on here.